For some, gaming is more than just playing games, and those people have to eat somewhere. I'm Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 amazing gaming restaurants around the world. Number 1 is Meltdown Bar in London, which is a bar 100% dedicated to gaming. Now you talk about console, PC, tabletop, card, it's all there, as you'll find is typically standard of the general gaming bar / restaurant. Meltdown goes out of their way to really give you a selection of games, everything from Hearthstone, League of Legends, Dota 2, the standard PC gaming fare, all the way back to Super Smash Bros., specifically Smash 4. In fact, they regularly hold Smash tournaments. The atmosphere's pretty nice there, and guess what? They do franchising, so if you want to melt down in your town, which kind of rhymes, and you have the money to start a bar, maybe think about that. Might be kind of cool. Number 9, in Paris, a temporary restaurant opened called the Metal Gear Cafe. Now, yes, that is hilarious. No, it is not still there, sadly. But while it was there, they sold Les Big Boss Burger, and if you're not a burger person, they had hot diamond dogs. I mean, not really your typical La Paris type food, but other than the fact that the cloning program in Metal Gear Solid is Les Enfants Terribles, I'm struggling to find a full connection between Paris and Metal Gear. Still, French Metal Gear fans were likely pretty stoked about this. It's pretty cool, actually. Number 8 is the Capcom Cafe, which is not the most original name, but it is all Capcom all the time. Now, the Capcom Cafe functions as both a merch store for Capcom, in which they sell tons and tons of ridiculously cool looking Capcom crap, and also has a cafe element where all of the food is as Japanese as you can possibly imagine. The food is the only thing that isn't like explicitly Capcom themed, but literally everything else is, and I mean, it really does look like a cool place. Number 7 is another Capcom oriented restaurant, but it's much more specific and unfortunately much less permanent. It was called Hadouken, and it was a pop-up restaurant that was open specifically to promote Street Fighter V. Now, probably the coolest thing about this particular one was that the food was free. They were just like, yeah, we're promoting a game with this thing. If you're hungry, come get your free noodles. And people were like, yeah, Hadouken. And go ahead and keep in mind that in Japan, ramen is not like crap that comes out of a little 30-cent pack. It's like a full-blown meal with like meat, seasoning, spices, vegetables. And while Hadouken was open, it was free. Number 6 is the Loading Bar, which is absolutely the best name for a gaming-oriented bar. You don't get any better than that, period, doesn't matter. This is a more general-oriented bar, not specific to any franchise game or developer, but they have done a ton of interesting things, like when they first opened their doors, they were serving up game-themed cocktails. They made a sculpture of Solid Snake out of 2,100, that's 2,100 shot glasses. They've organized what they call a mini E3 called E2, as in TOO, and open a second location, so there's one in Dalston and Stratford, both in the UK. And it seems like they've enjoyed a lot of success, and it seems pretty specific to knowing their audience. The fact that they're expanding means that them gaming cocktails is probably pretty good. Number 5 is a Resident Evil cafe called the Biohazard Cafe and Grill Stars, STARS. Now, it's not one that stayed open for more than a year. They were going to see if it would be successful enough to keep open afterwards, and it more ended up being a promotional activity than a full-blown fan hangout. And that could be due in part to the fact that Resident Evil seemed kind of second priority behind hiring attractive waitresses and putting them in short shorts. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm certainly not railing against that, but everything I can find about this restaurant seems to mention that more than other things, like the theme and the food, which doesn't bode extremely well. In fact, there's quite a few not so great reviews for the place that do some in confirming that suspicion. Oh well, I mean, it's still a Resident Evil cafe. It's happened. Maybe it could happen again. Let's hope. Number 4, there's a Final Fantasy XIV themed cafe modeled after the Carline Canopy, a location in the game that is absolutely one of the most gorgeous restaurants, period. I mean, Final Fantasy kind of exists in this area where you're like, yes, these are required to be very pretty games. So to make a restaurant that isn't up to that standard, I think would be ridiculous, and because that standard is so high, the restaurant itself is just gorgeous. And get this, it opened in 2014 and it is still open. The time of Final Fantasy XIV has long been gone, and to say that it isn't the most memorable of all the Final Fantasies isn't to say it's not memorable or fun, but if I were to make a restaurant based on a Final Fantasy, it would probably be a different one, and yet I am enamored with this. It's a beautiful restaurant. Apparently the food is phenomenal too. It's very well reviewed. They also, in true Final Fantasy style, do a raffle in which they give out tickets based on seat numbers and give out honey toast as the grand prize. Does that not sound like a Final Fantasy thing to you? Number 3 is a League of Legends restaurant in China that is not official. Somebody just made it because they liked League of Legends. We've actually talked about it in another video. It's called Demacia and features people in full costumes as various League of Legends characters as its waitstaff. It's kind of like that Biohazard one done right. They have potion drinks, you can play League of Legends in the cafe, and it just generally looks to have a fun and immersive atmosphere for people who love League of Legends. Number 2, and this one's a little bit Japan specific, but I thought it was pretty cool. A McDonald's in Tokyo themed itself based around a very popular video game and anime in Japan called Yokai Watch. You may be aware of it, you may not, but they pretty much made it look like Mog Mog burgers. Now Mog Mog burgers in the game looks a very specific way with golden arches that are slightly different than McDonald's, and McDonald's was like, you know what? Let's get together and work on this. And it's really funny because it looks so much like the restaurant in the game, while also looking like fans of the game took over the restaurant in the game. And also it's a McDonald's, so, I mean, if you have something you really like at McDonald's, you could eat it in possibly the coolest McDonald's in the entire world. And finally, number 1 is the 42 Lounge, which, hey Americans, this one exists here. In fact, I could probably drive here. But the 42 Lounge looks pretty sweet. It is a board game, console game, PC game, any kind of game you want to play type location. It has extremely cool laser lighting. And again, for all the Americans who don't typically leave the country, at least it's here. I mean, it's kind of a little ways from basically anywhere you might be. I'm a little bit south of this place. But hey, it's landlocked in the United States. And also the name is the ultimate answer to life, the universe, and everything, so why not? Which one of these restaurants looked coolest to you? Leave us a comment, and if you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you're not subscribed, now would be a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.